Okay. When I was in the cabinet shop, every 1/4 inch back or every 1/4 inch panel was this red lines or blue lines or something. I forget what it was. So, okay, so there's our width. Now let's look at height. Do we have any questions about width? Does that make sense? Boring as all get out, I know that, but
It'll come to me as we build it.
yeah, it'll make a lot more sense as we're building. But we're gonna basically be able to do, and I have this paper here, a list of parts. And you don't, once you have the list of parts, you label them and say, okay, this is the left side, this is the right side, and you cut them on the saw. You never have to come back to this until you're done with that, and then you come back and say, okay, where's that dado go? Where's that go? Where's this go? And then you can mark them, and you go do that. So that's what this is about. It's like, this is the plan. This is how it's done. You can always change it. I've done curved cabinets. I've done wacko stuff that if you don't have a plan for it, you can never figure out how to do it. So, okay.
You started the frame,
Say that again?
base is 2 inches?
I think I did
Base
these.
frame?
I did these 1.5 inches. The door I put is 2 inches.
Gotcha.
There's no absolute standard. Okay. There are some standards, but those are always, every rule can be broken, I think, in this thing. I mean, the upper cabinets are 12 inches deep. Well, you can make them 15 if you want. And I've had clients that say, I want this countertop to be 30 inches deep because we put so much stuff on the back of it, we never have 24 inches of counter space. So you want 30-inch cabinets?
I've seen cabinets that actually, because of space, they shrink down as little as 8.
Oh, yeah.
Because
You got
somebody
two
had a
stuff.
little notch and,
Yeah.
okay, let's
Right.
fill it in.
And I did, one of my clients was, I don't know, 6'8", and we did bathroom cabinets that were 42 inches tall. And for me, I mean,
You can't sell that house.
I can't, no, but he was really, really tall, and it was all custom made. It's like, fine, who's me to tell him not to? He doesn't have to bend over. Okay, so let's look at the height of the cabinet. And I was intending on doing a 30-inch tall cabinet, okay? So let's see if our layout stick does 30 inches. Oh, it's right up to that edge there. We'll still, we'll do it. There's 30 inches cabinet height, okay? Now, there's a couple things, let's talk about upper cabinets. If it's a kitchen, it used to be, you would have cabinet side, cabinet bottom, because we put lights in, right? Upper cabinets always had, not always, but it was nice to put in lights. But you're always talking 20 years ago, fluorescent, really thin fluorescent lights. It takes up a lot of space. Nowadays with LEDs, it's just a thin strip, about 1/4 inch thick. You can tape them up there. So you don't really need to, you can do, 1 inch. Because this is actually a stronger joint than doing a cabinet bottom that's like this. Oh, like this. There's the cabinet bottom. And you could put your strips there, but you'd see them. So you want a little bit of reveal, or a little bit of hidden underneath the bottom. So this is a really nice cabinet bottom for an upper cabinet, okay? Because you can put lighting in there. If you're screwing them to wall, sometimes you can put your, and I don't have that piece cut yet, but you could put in your nail rail across the bottom back here where you can actually screw into the wall. And in some cabinets, they're inside, which keeps you don't have the full depth of the cabinet use. Okay, so in this case, let's just go for an inch reveal. So if we're going to start at the bottom, this is the bottom of the cabinet. We're going to come up with 1 inch, and that's where this piece. That's where this piece is going to go. Okay, 1 inch. So we're going to have an inch, and we're going to have this dado. And here's where we come up with how thick is this plywood. I'm going to call it 11/16. Okay? Now, what that does is that bottom rail is now 1 inch and 11/16. So we might want to say, okay, we want that bottom rail of the cabinet to be 1.5 inches or 1 3/4 inches. So we actually do what's the inside from here, from there to there. What's that dimension? So I'm going to call that 1 3/4 inches. And go down to 11/16. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we don't care if it's 1 inch, 1.125, or 1.16. We don't care about that. We're interested in necessarily the front rail being a nice even number. okay? So there's the bottom of the cabinet, okay? Top of the cabinet. And we can do the same on the top of the cabinet, but I don't think it matters that much. So let's just do a dado, like that one, for the top, okay? We'll do that. So, 30 inches, top of the cabinet, and we come down 11/16. And we make this mark. Now, if there were a center divider in this cabinet, I'm going to turn it back over here to left to right. If this were a longer cabinet and you had a center divider coming in here, then on this top and bottom you would show a dashed line where the height of that divider is, leaving a 1/2 inch space and a 1/2 inch space material. Does that make sense? Let's pretend there's a divider and we'll do it, okay? So let's say that there's a divider that goes in the middle of this cabinet, top to bottom, and we're going to leave a 1/2 inch of material on the top of the cabinet. So there I'm going to do just a little dash line and a little dash line here. If we had a divider in this cabinet in the middle, this to this dash line would be the height of that piece of wood. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. We don't have.
Is that divider being set into a dado on the bottom and the top?
And I always leave a 1/2 inch of solid material.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's going to be an odd number because we didn't start off with an inch at the bottom and up at 1/2 inch. We went to 1 3/4 inches back. So this is going to be an odd number, like it'll be a 1/16 of something. So if we measure it, I used to teach high school, and whenever I said the word measure, I had one kid who said, "That's not how you say measure." Oh, anyway, sorry. So if I measure that, I always start at 1 inch for the way I measure, okay? I never want to start with the end and say, oh, that's close enough. No, that's not. I got 1 inch. I know people, my father used to go to 10 inches because that's a 0. Okay, that's an easy thing for some people to do. I always do 1 and I say it out loud to myself. 1 inch, 2, 28 and 15/16. So it's really 27 and 15/16. That's how I do it. But if we went to 10, started at 10, that center divider would be 37 and 15/16, or 27 and 15/16. Okay, make sense why that is, John? No puzzle? Yeah. Okay.
Now, do you write that measurement
Not yet.
anywhere?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're working in 1/16.
Yep.
Do you ever
Yes, I do.
cut to just eighths and say, I'm
Oh, eighths?
working eighths?
No, I was thinking the other way around. I've gone to 64th.
You've gone all the way down to 64th?
Yeah.
I just have listened to some people in woodworking who've said they're not trying to look. One guy knows a woodworker, not a cabinet builder.
Right.
And the definite
There's
distinction.
difference.
He had gotten to the point of saying, I'm not working in anything less than a 16th, and I prefer not to work in less than an eighth.
Right.
I listened to a couple of guys in cabinet shops trying in custom houses,
Right.
trying to design everything
Right.
so they weren't going below an eighth. But you're saying you were going all the way,
Oh.
still going all the way down
Oh, yeah.
to 64th.
Oh, yeah. So well, I mean, so the tape measures, right? They show a 16th, which means really we have accuracy to about a 32nd. Okay? And if it's something higher than the 32nd or lower than the 32nd, I will actually write down on my cutting list, I'll say, hey, it's 27 and 13/16 minus. And I know what that minus means. That's my terminology to say it's less than that by a 64th. Okay,
It's
or
thinner,
thereabouts,
it's fat.
or
It's
thereabouts.
thinner, it's fat.
Exactly. Now, when I was young, I dated a woman carpenter who was apprenticeship. She was in her apprenticeship as a carpenter. I was an apprenticeship as a cabinet maker. And the joke we had was that for her, it's if it didn't fit, get a bigger hammer, right? And for me, it's like no, it's 64th more. It's just, you know. So that's the difference.
When I was cabinet woodworking one night, next morning volunteering Habitat, I remember telling people, yeah, I'm framing to within a 1/2 inch, maybe a 1/4 inch here. Last night I was worried about
A hundredth of an inch or something. Yeah.
down to
Yeah.
a 32nd.
Of course. So there's the difference. Okay. So, we have a bottom of the cabinet, we have the bottom of the outside edge, we have the bottom of the piece of the cabinet, and we have the top of the cabinet, okay? So we still have to go back and say, what's our door look like? What is a face frame, etc. So let's do again 2 face frames on this. We can erase this center divider because we don't really have it, but I just wanted to go through that in case we did, all right? So we're going to start with, I am going to arbitrarily pick this location for a face frame, right there. There's the face frame, and there's the face frame, the inside of one. And I'm not going to measure, but I'm going to say it's about that thick, okay? Just for the sake of, we don't care about the thickness of it. That's the face frame. And then we have one on top, okay? And I'm going to erase this line and a little bit right there. All right. And same with this one. So, we know already the bottom face frame. If this is the cabinet side, and this is the cabinet side, and this is the cabinet bottom, we know that that face frame is going to be this thick. Right? So, we already know that. We haven't figured out the top yet. And if our sides of our cabinet door is an inch from the edge, we probably should put an inch from the top to be where the door begins. And that will indicate that we probably want to have the cabinet face frame up above the rail a little bit bigger than an inch, so the door has something to hit against. It is not a good idea in cabinet making, if you can avoid it, to have, if this is your top, for instance, to have any sort of face frame flush. Because then you have to worry about this joint being just perfectly nice and even. We do have to have it on the bottom here, where this bottom rail hits the cabinet bottom. Okay? We have to have that a nice joint because that's where you put plates, bowls, whatever you put there. That has to be thick. So that has to be a really nice joint. But any other joint you can, if you can get away with it, leave a reveal. So if something crooked a little bit, it doesn't really matter. Okay? So that's what we're looking at on the top. If we're having an inch space between the top of the cabinet and the door, we need to have a rail up there that's probably an inch and a half, just so the door has something to go. The door's shut, you don't see any gap. So I'm going to go an inch and a half for my top rail.
Does that get you your reveal or the thing on the top?
Right, because I'm going to make my door so that it has the same reveal sides and top,
Okay.
and bottom for that matter. So,
So you are not, like, you're not expanding, if you're an inch reveal, sides, top, you're not going an inch and a quarter, bottom.
I could.
I mean, some people have seen that. Is that common?
It's a visual thing.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
I mean, let's say you need one more cabinet at the house, and you want to match what's there. So it may be different. I'm just saying for the ease of what we're doing today.
Okay,
And
all right. I'm just trying to get a
yeah,
foundation.
what did I say? It was an inch, and an inch space. So I've marked down an inch here, and I'm going to draw, again, the top of the door, and an inch off the bottom will give me the bottom of the door. And actually, sometimes the bottom of the door is actually flush with the bottom of there, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so, and if we're using 2-inch rails, you notice I interchange all kinds of, I do this, but anyway, 2-inch rail and a 2-inch rail here. So, what does that do for me? It tells me another dimension of the door. I know that the door now is from here to here for height, which means the stiles, the vertical portions of a panel door, stiles are that tall. If I mark exactly where the panel goes inside, which we haven't figured out yet how we're going to do it, then I'll know how tall that panel is. So suddenly we already know now the panel size for this door. Because I have the width, I know it's 1/4 of an inch, and I know the height when I've finished marking that part out. Okay?